And I think I am live here on YouTube. It's always tricky with the technology, with the way all these streaming things work. It doesn't have like a exact one-to-one of when you push the button and when you actually go live, so it makes it a little bit scary. Anyway, so as for me, I haven't posted any videos in, like 5 days now. My last one was Saturday with my Bad Boys ranking, and then I disappeared since then. Went to out of town, middle of nowhere, Texas, to speak to a bunch of middle and high schoolers. Spoke to about 150 high schoolers and middle schoolers for a couple of days. Did 4 different talks. Played paintball with sponges covered in paint, and so got smacked in the ear with that. Got wrestled to the ground and had my shoes stolen by a crowd of high school boys. So I was out of town, so I couldn't put out videos for a couple of days there, and then I got back to town and wanted to rest for a little bit. And then tomorrow I'm actually speaking at a college class on marketing about YouTube. So the way the universe played out, it's just been a really busy little season for me this particular week. So that's what things been going on with me, a little catch you up, and why I wanted to do a live stream today, just to get something happening. Bricks by Thomas, are you on Letterboxd? Yes, I'm on Letterboxd. I'm trying to do a better job of actually updating it this year. As thus far, I am. With the lists that I'm doing on Letterboxd, what I'm trying to do with it, I'm totally up to date, and it's just my name, Sean Chandler, one word. I am on Letterboxd. People ask me about it all the time, and that's it. Superfan Milik, why did you not like Crisis on Infinite Earths? The reasons I stated in my videos. I don't have a secret reason. Very clearly stated in it. So you'd have to explain what was unclear about my reasoning. Dragon DP5, Sean, can you rank the Hangover trilogy? I almost did when Joker came out. Like, I had it on my schedule to rank them because it's Todd Phillips. And then I went out of town. I was at a film festival right before Joker came out, and then I left town for California right after it came out. So I was going to rank them, and I didn't. If I were to do it right off the top of my head, first place by about 10 miles is the first one. I think then the third one is in second place, and then the second one is in third. It's just kind of like a mean-spirited, crass rehash of the first one. Second one's this weird, or third one is this weird action movie take on it, and the original is just kind of like a fresh comedy. I think it's, a great little men behaving comedy that makes me laugh every single time I watch it. All right, so people ask me what's my least anticipated movie of the year. I don't have a movie like that because there's hundreds of movies that just aren't on my radar. I don't even think about them, so it's not like I would have one that was like ranking how least they are in this big category of movies I just don't care about, don't know about. So, don't have too many thoughts on it. Oopa Loopa, what do you think about Clone Wars Season 7? I haven't watched the trailers. I'm not like an expert on Clone Wars. I can tell you this. Before I started this live stream, I watched 2 episodes with my son, and we're mapping out our plan to get the whole series watched in time so that I can watch the new season and potentially rank all the seasons. I'm working on it. I don't know if it'll happen. I don't know. So I'm thinking about it, but it's not like that. I'm not an expert on it. That's not a show that I was all in on the way that a lot of you are, but I'm hoping to get some content for you. Taster Bros Inc. Have you seen 12 Angry Men? I think I have. I've read the screenplay for it. I read the screenplay for 12 Angry Men, in high school. That was an assignment that I had. So I'm pretty sure we watched it in class. It's not one that like I revisit. People ask me like, you should review 12 Angry Men. And I'm always baffled as to why that's like the one that people always are going to as the one that they want me to review of all the old movies that I could potentially review. That one always seems to be the one that they go to. Caliber, can you rank the Arrowverse heroes? No, I haven't seen all the shows, so I can't rank things that I haven't seen. Unknown Flicks, thoughts on Halloween Kills? I don't really have thoughts on it because we don't have a trailer. So it's a franchise that's been going on and on forever. So naturally I assume they're going to do that. That's what they're doing. So what are my thoughts on this particular one? I don't know. I'd have to see what their angle is, what the plot is. I don't follow all the movie news stuff, trying to track every detail of a lot of this stuff because I don't find that to be... I don't like to know super intricate details, so I'm not trying to piece it together before I see it. So then it all comes down to when the trailer comes out, then I'll have an opinion on all of it. Several people kind of asking me if I can review like Scarface, The Godfather, a bunch of like random old movies. Like I mentioned, 12 Angry Men. I just don't do that on my channel. Like you can't point to a bunch of examples of me reviewing standalone classic movies from like 30 years ago or something like that. That's not really what my channel is. That's not normally what my audience gravitates towards. And so it just doesn't make a lot of sense for me to cover things like that. People don't watch them when I do that because that's not what they subscribed for. They subscribed because I cover like nerd culture, popular big franchises, and of course my rankings. That's what it is. And so if I go and I randomly review Scarface, it's just a dead video that nobody watches. And that's not... Like, I'm not sitting around at my home watching Scarface either. So it's also not really true to what I'm passionate about. Some of the stuff even were like, you know, did I review all the Rambo movies leading up to the new Rambo film? It's because that's kind of who I am. That's the stuff that I get excited about. And so that makes sense for me to do that. Alex Thomas, when are you going to do a Blu-ray collection stream? Love your channel. Every single week over there on Instagram, Facebook, my community tab, and Twitter, I post my schedule for what I'm going to be posting soon. I was late this weekend because I was out of town, but I still posted it, I think yesterday, and so it wasn't actually technically the weekend, so it wasn't every single time, but it was posted, and that's planned for this weekend. So if you're wondering, what am I going to post? Like, I post my schedule every single week. And so when am I going to do my next Blu-ray collection video? It's coming this weekend, and it was already kind of announced previously, so you can check that out there. The Sandman 98, what was your worst experience at the movie theater? I put out a video just a couple months back that is my best and worst experiences at movie theaters. So just look up Sean Chandler movie theater experiences. There's a video that's like all of my best stories about being at the movie theaters and stuff like that. Zen55, thoughts on casting choices for Batman? Are you afraid that there will be too many villains? Thoughts on it? I think that they've done a pretty good job of just getting interesting picks. It's not super obvious choices, but it's also not super obscure. It's kind of right in that middle of like people with some indie credibility or people with kind of resumes from a while ago, but they're not necessarily current A-listers. So that's a good way to do it. Do I think there's going to be too many villains? Not by default. If you're doing a Batman universe that's populated, it makes sense that you'd have villains show up inside of it. There's a way to do it that feels like you're just stacking villain on top of villain, so none of them are established. And there's a way in which it makes sense that in this world, they're just out there. I mean, you watch Batman the Animated Series, you read the comics, and you don't feel like an individual episode or issue there's too many villains because it's just a populated world. And because it's a populated world, you encounter a lot of different characters inside of it. So I don't inherently feel... anything about that. I'll get into a bit of a weird one. Tony Movies, Chappie, D9, something like that. Hey, Sean, how do you feel about Lee not being in the group with CP, Cody, and Brian anymore right now with the whole incident with him and CP? I'm just not going to join in on any sort of gossip feelings on any of that. I'm real good friends with Cody Leach. I'm internet buddies with Lee as well. I know Brian a little bit, and I've done some stream stuff with him. None of these people have offended me. None of these people have wronged me personally. I'm on good terms with all of them. And so I'm not going to comment on their conflicts in tension with each other. I wish all of them the best. I wish everyone can get along and work through some things. And for whatever reason, people made wrong choices. People responded different ways. And people have fallings out. That happens in life. I believe all of us are people that make mistakes, and when hurt people, and it sometimes messy things happen. So I don't have any interesting thoughts. You're not going to get me to pick sides or anything like that. I could just say that almost every day I talk with Cody on Facebook, and I've only had the best experiences with Lee as well. So I'm not looking to join in on any sort of the internet gossip type stuff about any of that. Gamer Girl, when's your updated Funko Pop collection video coming? I think next week. Actually, I'll look right now. I spent yesterday updating my schedule for the rest of the year. It might be and this isn't a guarantee. Whatever I say right now isn't a guarantee. My current plan is the 28th. So next Tuesday is what is written on my schedule. Hopefully that's what will happen. And it'll be a fun one because I picked up a lot of Funkos last year and some pretty cool ones. And so that'll be nice to talk about that. Stupendous thoughts on Watchmen on HBO. Yeah, I did watch Watchmen. I actually signed up for HBO just to do that and then forgot to unsubscribe. I thought I'd unsubscribed or followed or whatever, and I didn't, and then it charged me last night. So I guess $15 more for HBO, even though the show's over. But what did I think about it? I thought it did what it was trying to do very well, which was expand the lore, the universe of that world, and it's also kind of having some of taking the messaging of the original and see what's the version of that in the year 2020. And so I thought it did a nice job of having this intricate narrative with moving parts and things that are set up early, pay off later on. I wasn't gaga for it the way some people seem to be, and I wasn't disappointed by it by the way other people seem to be. And I wish I would have reread Watchmen before I watched it. I haven't read the comic in about 5 years, and I haven't watched the movie in about 3 years. So I don't have a fresh take on Watchmen. I think I've read it over the three or four different times, about every 5 years, going back about 20 or something like that. So I'm due for another reading. I wish I would have. I didn't. So that probably would have helped me enjoy it a little bit more. So those are some quick thoughts on it. Someone asked me, did I watch The Boys on Amazon? I did. I did a review of The Boys. Aiden Long, the Ultra Gamer, ranked the Ninja Turtles trilogy. I ranked all the Ninja Turtle movies about 3 years ago. It's on my channel 2.5, 3 years ago, something like that. So you can check it out. My thoughts are out there. And that's always kind of good advice. Like, I've put out over 1,000 videos. And so when it comes to any like nerd culture type franchises, there's a good chance I've already covered it. Almost every day someone asks me, hey, have you done this? Have you done this? And you can ask me and I'll give you my answer. But you can also just Google search Sean Chandler Ninja Turtles ranking and it'll pop up. And it's not just Ninja Turtles. I mean, it's so many different things people kind of ask me about. Yeah. TCX, ever interested in working with Jeremy Jahns or Chris Stuckman? Oh, of course. I mean, but they're 10 times my size. So it's a question of would they want to work with me. I can tell you this. I've met one of those two people over the last several months. He's great. Very friendly. Talked with him for about 20 minutes. Actually bought my drink at a movie theater, so that was pretty cool. He didn't have to. He just chose to do that of his own volition. And I have messaged him about getting to interview him for my channel. And he was positive about that. If dependent on timing getting right, he was very positive on it. And he also said he was not offended that my set looks like it. But hopefully that'll happen. And of course, the other person in the mix that I haven't met, sure, I would love to work with said person. I just don't have any contact information to even try and make anything like that happen. But of course, I'm pretty open to doing stuff with anyone so long as they're not just like so far off from what I do. Like some of the channels that are more just kind of like, and I don't say this to bash the channel, but like Cinema Sins, that's not my thing. Like the whole idea, like nitpicking the specifics, that's not really my thing. So I wouldn't be a good fit to do stuff with them. But most other people, there's something to talk about. I love to talk movies, so talking movies with someone else that loves to talk movies seems like a good fit for most cases. And I don't even, like I mentioned Cinema Sins, not even as a negative towards them. I just haven't watched much of their stuff because that's just not my thing. And I don't know if they're the same people that do Cinema Wins, but maybe that would be fun or something like that. But Gamer Girl, thoughts on National Treasure 3 finally happening? As a plug for something coming in the future, in a couple weeks I'm looking to launch a podcast, and everything I've been doing demo test runs for 3 weeks now, and it should go public the week after the Super Bowl is the plan. Everything's coming together. Very happy with the progress. Just wanted to get some test runs behind the scenes. In the test run we ran yesterday, we talked about that, and it's actually will be up on my Patreon page with a full discussion, me and Griffin talking about that. If you join at any level, you can see that discussion. But that's just a little plug for the podcast and for Patreon. But as for my thoughts on National Treasure 3, I'm very excited about it. I don't know why they didn't do it 10 years ago, but the first two, they're not trying to be high cinema, but they're exactly what they're trying to be. Fun adventures for the whole family. They're easy to watch. They're a good time. Stupid as can be, but they're boldly stupid. They're not embarrassed. They're not self-serious. They're just having fun. Kind of even like lean into some of the campiness of the whole thing. So the idea of doing a third one, I'm on board. I just don't know why they didn't do it 10 years ago. It just seems weird to me that we didn't get this a long, long time ago. Zane TV. Hey, Sean, love your channel so much. Can you ever do a YouTube masterclass? I have a second channel called, I have like 4 channels. One called Real Creators. On my community tab, I frequently share videos from there, but just if you type in Sean Chandler Real Creators, it's a channel that's exclusively videos on YouTube. And so like last May, I did a panel at a Comic-Con in Dallas Fan Expo. I did a 50-minute panel on how to make a nerdy living on YouTube, and it's like 30 minutes on how to grow your channel and the strategies that I've used, and then 20 minutes on how to monetize and what I do to monetize my channel and my story as well inside of that. And I posted that whole thing over on Real Creators. And then there's other ones on kind of growth stuff. There's me interviewing some of my friends as they've kind of made it in the world of YouTube. And so I don't know specifically when you say masterclass, would I ever do that? Absolutely. I have plans in the future to make a whole course like on my YouTube strategies. Like that's in mind. It's something I'm very much thinking about whenever the timing is right. And timing is always the tricky part. But check out my other channel, Real Creators, just Sean Chandler Real Creators. I think if you go to my profile, I think I have it in there now. So I have my vlog channel that's Sean Chandler, and then I have Real Creators right below it, and that has a whole bunch of just stuff on my thoughts on how to do stuff. Casper Brinch, who should be the next character added to Star Wars Battlefront 2? The Mandalorian, of course. Actually, the whole crew. Let's throw everybody in there. Let's get Cara Dune. Let's get IG-11, the Mandalorian. I don't know if the other characters work as well. So those 3 right there. Those are the 3 that we need to throw into Battlefront next. Oh, let me see. Son of TNT, what is your least favorite episode of The Office? The one that like ends with Jim and Pam having a fight, and then Pam's like hugging the cameraman. Betrayal. Well, I mean, just like a terrible plot line for this particular show. Like the way they where they take it, it's just a real bizarre thing to do with that particular show, and just stupid. Shifan Said Ali, could you rank the Ip Man movies? I actually haven't seen any of them. No particular reason. I'm a martial arts guy. I've been watching Donnie Yen movies for over 20 years. And I just haven't happened to see the Ip Man movies. Otherwise, if I'd seen the previous ones when this one came out, and I should have been paying better attention, I should have like been tracking with it to drop it right now. But I just missed it. So I need to watch all of them, but I haven't actually watched any of them. Geronho, how have things been going since you began working YouTube full-time? Yes, congrats. I've been here since 10,000 subscribers. Yeah, so I went full-time on YouTube last February, so 11 months ago. I'm at 11 months full-time on YouTube, and the short answer is things have been great. It's flown by. I created a whole plan to like how... Actually, this would be kind of fun. This will be a fun thing to actually... The day you happen to ask this question is real nice. I had a whole plan of what and when I wanted to, what I would do to make my wife comfortable. Like, I had this whole plan of like, I'll have this much saved up in reserve, and then we'll pay ourselves. Had this whole system in place just in case things went bad. Things didn't go bad. Things went well. And through the course of it, I got to interview the guy that played Ghost Rider on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and he's the new Terminator. I got to do a red carpet with Taika Waititi. Got to go to California. Went to an influencer conference. Interviewed the director of Angel Has Fallen. Bunch of awesome opportunities. And the one thing my wife asked that if I went full-time, we had to make enough money to replace our roof. And so and there's a whole backstory to that of our hurricane came through 2.5 years ago, wiped out our roof. We took the insurance money and lived off of it basically so that we could keep this channel going and some other things. There's a weird phase of life, but we borrowed that money, our insurance money, basically from our future selves. And so her one thing was, if I'm going to go full-time, by the deadline to get this roof built, we had to build the roof. And so then in August, I said, we did it. We got the roof built, but we had to take that out in debt to get it done. And that didn't necessarily have to, but we'd have to clear out all these bank accounts to make that happen. As of last night, we paid off this, whatever, $10,000 roof. It was pretty cool. Like, we went through the bank accounts and wait, everything's still in place. All the reserves here, everything's still stable. And we were just able to clear off this debt. So this key thing that goes back 2.5 years of right when my channel was starting to take off and bet on our future and my wife betting on me and letting me go full time, it's all clear, good to go. And so it's pretty cool that you asked that question right at this particular day, but it's been going great. And it's, like tomorrow I'm speaking at a college class about YouTube, and it's been very cool. Questions. Michael Esquivel, have you seen The Umbrella Academy? I haven't seen any of The Umbrella Academy, not one episode. Mick Cooling, 1983, do you love the butterfly effect? I haven't seen any of the butterfly effect. Some of the questions you guys are asking are a little bit kind of vague. You're just kind of like, hey, what do you think about? And you're saying questions that are kind of vague, like, what do you think about Batman? I like Batman. I've said that many times on my channel. So I probably want to be a little bit more specific on some of those specifically as to what you're asking about. People keep asking me about the Star Wars Clone Wars trailer. I didn't watch it. The show's going to debut in a month. I don't feel the need to watch it to see what's going to happen inside of it. And I'm not caught up on the seasons. I haven't watched them in years, so I'm trying to catch up on it, but I don't know. The trailer and movies, will you make a Roger Moore James Bond ranking? Yeah, like I said, I'm going to rank all of them. That's I'm going to do all of them. It's just a matter of timing. And so the date for it right now, it's on my schedule for the 31st. My Roger Moore James Bond ranking is going to drop on the 31st. So it's a week and a half from now, a week and 2 days from now. JC Gaming, what is your least favorite thing about the MCU and the DCEU? The MCU, actually, they're kind of almost contrarian, almost opposite sides to things. MCU is probably that they don't take enough risks with individual directors. It's a little bit too much of a unified voice. With the DCUs, there's not enough direction. There wasn't a plan. So this one, MCU, they've got a great plan. They stick to it. They have wonderful consistency. And I'd be open to them being a little bit looser with some of that. And then over here, this one, I don't feel like they have a plan. They don't have an idea what they're trying to do. And so it's kind of all over the place. So, the DCEU it's just not really even established yet, even though that it's 7 years in. It's not established. It hasn't figured out its tone, its voice, its direction. And the MCU figured it out pretty quickly. And I think it's time for them to take some risks. And this phase, it looks like that's what they're doing. The Wow Master, hey Sean, what is your thoughts on the independent films, and will you review more this year? Some of these questions are a little bit frustrating for me because I review independent films, not terribly uncommon. People just don't click on them. And so then sometimes people are like, hey, why didn't you review this movie? And it's like, I did. I reviewed it a while ago. Sometimes I see them at film festivals and I post the reviews and people don't search for them. They just see that I didn't post it because I saw it before they even heard of it. And so what's my thoughts on independent films? Well, I like all films, and so I try and watch a variety of different things. But this YouTube channel isn't really about independent films. I've never promoted as it being about independent films, and so that will never be my big focus. And I'll tell you this, this probably isn't the answer that you want. I'm pushing a lot of that content off of my YouTube channel this year intentionally. It's built into my strategy for this year that that's not the stuff that on YouTube works. People that want to go deeper on my thoughts on stuff, there's other places I can put that. So I'm planning on doing a lot more on Instagram, Facebook, and then even over on my Patreon page so that I can talk about more things that they just don't work on my YouTube channel. They kind of clutter things and nobody clicks on them. They disappear. And it's actually really frustrating when people are like, hey, why didn't you review this movie? I did. I reviewed it, and I've actually reshared it multiple times, and still no one can find my review of it. And so I'm trying to put that stuff somewhere else where it has its place, where it stands out a little bit more. So like Just Mercy, I reviewed that over on Instagram, Facebook, and then a full one over on Patreon. So I plan on covering more things and smaller things, but it'll probably be on Facebook and Instagram, and try and do a better job of having my main channel focus on the content that people subscribed for in the first place, which it's not independent content. That's never what has grown my channel. Hayden Owens, have you watched Castle Rock? No, I've not seen any of Castle Rock. I haven't even seen a trailer for it. Christian Meyer, I'm in college looking to become a YouTuber. What advice do you have for me? So I've got a video over, if you type Sean Chandler movie critic tips, there's a video that's like my 7 best tips. There's several interviews I've done with people that are a ton of tips. And then there's my second channel, Real Creators, that has a ton of stuff just on that subject. If you want the quick version, if you want to start a movie review channel, just start. Don't overthink it. Get started with whatever equipment you have. Shoot with your phone. I'm shooting this right now with a webcam that's right here in front of me. I shot all the videos on my channel with this webcam up until July of this year, or June of this year. I was full-time on YouTube before I bought a real camera. And so just think about that this channel went full-time using a $75 webcam. You don't need big, expensive equipment. Then try a bunch of stuff. Just try stuff. And just look back at what worked and what didn't work. What people liked, what people didn't like. What you enjoyed making, what you didn't enjoy doing. Copy people. When you're starting, you can copy people, then that's okay, because you're figuring out your style, and you have to try things, and you just can't invent 1,000 new things right out of the gate. So try what other people are doing and figure out what your version of some of that is, and build that up. And then just keep getting just a little bit better every single video, every single week. Just update your template that you use. And so just get started. You don't need a ton of stuff of equipment, and just keep improving, and like buy some books from movie critics. Don't just watch people like me and Jeremy Johns and Stuckman. Like buy like Leonard Maltin's movie guide and just read his reviews and figure out the language that he uses in his reviews. And go on Rotten Tomatoes and click on a bunch of people that the little blurb says something interesting, ones you agree with, ones you disagree with, and just pay attention to the language of how people say a lot of this stuff, and so you can get better at your vocabulary for talking about movies and what you're looking for. August next week is the Arrow series finale. Could you do a top episodes or something? I don't think I could. For the level of specificity that top episodes requires, I don't think I could make a video like that, unfortunately, because there's things I've rewatched, and then there's seasons I haven't necessarily rewatched, and I have notes that I took, but it's never was designed as like, here's the top episodes. And so it's tough to do that with a show that I've watched over the span of 8 years now. Where was that? San Zizaldos, how long did it take for you to get started on YouTube? I mean, get started. I mean, you just start. I don't know if you mean started how long until I make money. It took me 3 years of false starts before I became consistent. So when I say Sean Chandler talks about started in July 2016, that's when I became consistent. I was like a failure at being consistent for 3 years before that. And then it took me 9 months to get 1,000 subscribers, and then it took me it was about 10 months after that where I really started to consistently make money. So I was about 1.5 years in when I started to consistently, this became a stream of income for me. Total Terror, do you watch Bollywood movies? Not really. Every year, almost every month, I think, man, I really need to just experiment and go see some Bollywood movies. They play at all my local theaters. Cinemark is the ones around here, and so they have... They show, especially there's one in the city about 10 miles that way is Pflugerville. They put like 5 at a time. So they've got a selection, and the one that's real close to me that I normally go to normally has 1 or 2. But I don't know what to go see. I don't know what people are actually watching. And so there's a pretty big disconnect. And so I'd want to see something that would hopefully encourage me to see more and get some traction. And so that's the story of why I haven't actually ever done any Bollywood type stuff. Boy Dude Reviews. If you didn't have your awesome YouTube channel, would you be a movie director? Would I be a movie director? Probably not. Would I love to direct a movie? Would I love to write a movie? Yeah, absolutely. The thing that motivates me on YouTube is that I can just make it happen in a day. Like, I can just jump on here and I got a video up. I can do this live stream and it's done. It has happened. Boom. Done. But I can't do that with a movie. With even writing a script. 3 months writing it, maybe no one ever reads it. Even just trying to get to direct a movie is such a big process to just try to get to do it. And if you do, then maybe still nobody sees it. So would I love to? If someone was like, "Here, I'll bankroll you to make a movie," would I do it? Absolutely. If someone's going to hire me to direct a Hollywood movie, oh, sure, of course I would. But it's not something that you can just make happen kind of on your own nearly as easy as you can with like a YouTube channel. It's not like it's easy on a YouTube channel either. So I'd love to, but it's just not a path that's easily in front of me. Justin Numerate, could you ever do a ranking of the movies starring The Rock? The problem with some of that stuff is that he's been doing in movies for 20 years. And then you think he starts in The Mummy 2 and he's only in it for like 5 minutes. Do you count that or do you not count that? And so they're just really difficult ones to do because you have to watch all the movies and then you have to decide what's included. So I've got some ideas for how to do more of those. And like the idea I've been bouncing in my head is like their top 10 highest grossing, because then it's a category that you can actually look at. But it's just some of it's just tricky with a lot of the people like, hey, can you rank this? Well, it's 70 movies. So it's 70 movies. There's 140 hours of watching just for that one video. That's a risk on my part. Joran von Uden, what did you think of The Witcher? I have watched 4 episodes. I've enjoyed it enough to be like, hey, I want to finish this. I haven't enjoyed it enough that I'm like, I just got to binge through this. Like, I'm in that thing like, okay, this is kind of cool. Kind of weird at the same time, confusing. I haven't played the games, I haven't read the books, so I don't really know what's going on. And so that's kind of been a problem for me in my experiences with it, because I just don't know what to do with some of that. So I plan on finishing, but I'm only halfway through right now. Adopted Lobster, do you like License to Kill with Timothy Dalton? Yeah, I mean, I do. When I first was old enough to start watching Bond movies, that was the one that had just come out. That was the last one that had come out because it was that gap between that 5-year gap there between Dalton and Pierce Brosnan. And then I really kind of got into them with GoldenEye. So then that was the one that came out right beforehand. So that's one of the ones that I've actually watched the most. And you'll have my full thoughts on it. And maybe they've changed when I rewatch it in a month or two. Ryan Walton, have you seen Titans on Netflix? So Titans is actually Titans is a DC. I'm assuming you're talking about the Teen Titans one. That's a DC online universe one. It's not on Netflix for me. So your question is kind of, I'm having to interpret your question that I think you're talking about that show. It's not on Netflix in the United States where I'm at. It's only on the DC streaming service. I've seen the first season. I enjoyed like some of the whole thing was like this mixed bag. I'd get really involved in one episode and the next one would just feel like filler, random standalone episode. I don't like the stories, both individual or meta, that they've gone with. The cursing, the sex, and the violence all feel like a 13-year-old kid trying to act like an adult. It doesn't feel organic and natural. But there's also like certain things about it that I do like. So it's just tricky that, it's frustrating. The Deadpool Reborn, do you have strong opinions against loud movie watchers? I mean, if you mean going to the movie theaters and people that are just talking over the movie, yeah, of course. It's rude, selfish behavior to be loud in a theater if you're not like laughing at jokes. If you're just talking to the person next to you playing, improv comedian, doing your own version of riff tracks and Mystery Science Theater 3000, it's just rude behavior. You're not in your living room, so you should not be doing that. Total Terror, have you seen You on Netflix? No. Ironically, though, my wife is binge watching through it right now, and I've been like, hey, maybe I should watch this. And so then we're in the middle of this discussion of like, are we going to try and watch it? But I've got too many movies I need to watch for my February rankings and even my rankings for this month. So I don't have time to watch it, but she doesn't want to stop watching it. So it's playing in my household. I just haven't really watched it. Oscar, have you seen Sorry to Bother You? No, I have not. Lloyd, Passifume, do you like Drive? I assume you mean the movie with Ryan Gosling. Yes, I've only seen it a couple of times, but it's a pretty cool little slow burn. What I like even more than the movie Drive is this schlocky Mark Dacascos martial arts movie from the late 90s called Drive. Now that is my kind of movie. Martin Cook, best animated movie of 2019. You can look at my end of the year videos. I believe I had my answers in my top 10 of the year. That's my answer to your question. Check out my top 10 of the year. It's fantastic content. Brandon, favorite Parks and Rec character? Ron Swanson, of course. Grady Clipper, do you have an unlimited pass? You'd have to ask me what my unlimited pass is for. I'm sure I have an unlimited pass to something, but I don't know what specifically you want me to have an unlimited pass for. Dan, do you think there should be a Mad Max Fury Road 2? If he can do it now. I mean, the Mad Max franchise lends itself to him just... The nature of the franchise is that it's him on the road, and there's other people that have a story, and then he joins in on their adventure. That's what all of the sequels have been, is that... so that lends itself to another adventure of him showing up somewhere. But George Miller's very old, so he needs to do that pretty soon, because he is not a young man. Zane TV, Super Bowl predictions. I don't know who's in the Super Bowl, so I have no predictions as to that one. Thomas Tibbet, have you seen Money Heist on Netflix? I have not. Cinefanatics, hey Sean, love your channel. Very cool. We are also an Austin-based movie channel, and we would love to chat with you sometime if you are available. The best place to get a hold of me is send me a private message on Instagram. I read all my direct messages over there, and so if you, after this, I'll see what all the new ones are. So if you send me one saying, "Hey, I'm that guy from Austin," I will read that and I will respond to you. So that's your easiest way to get a hold of me for something like that, or for any of you. If you have a question that I miss or something like that, you can message me over there. Just be sure before you ask your question, "Hey, you should rank this or suggest this." Google search to make sure I've actually have or have not done it before. But yeah, I'm really good on Instagram at responding to people. I have a backlog of a handful that I haven't because they asked me a complex question, but the vast majority of people I respond to. Penguin asking, thoughts on Snoopy Come Home? I haven't watched Snoopy Come Home in 30 years, so I don't have thoughts on it. Some of these questions, you're asking me questions that I literally just answered. Like, best I can tell, they're just now feeding in, and I've literally just answered them. So please, please, please be watching what I'm actually saying, and don't just spam me with reading. Like, I can't find new questions because people keep asking me the same questions, and at a certain point in time, I'm going to start blocking you because I cannot find new questions. Jacob the Special 2187. What were you doing before YouTube? I was a youth pastor at a church for 8 years. Actually spoke at a youth retreat this past weekend. And then I delivered paint for 2.5 years while I was growing my YouTube channel. So it was like, I started YouTube channel, and then a couple months later started Paint Job. And then Paint Job, those ran parallel for a little while. That's what I did. Drawlet Gaming, what are your thoughts on The Lord of the Rings? I respect it more than I necessarily fully enjoy it. I've got a ranking of the movies that has my specifics on all the Middle-earth films. Scott Tran, how old are you? I am 38 years old. Weird Sandwich 101, what's your least favorite movie? Alien 3. Alien 3 is my least favorite movie. They betrayed me with that one. Ryan Rain, have you watched any of the Kevin Smith movies? If you have, are you going to do a ranking? I've seen most all of them. I haven't seen all of them. I don't know if most. I don't know if I watched a lot of his stuff in the last 10, 15 years. So all of his early stuff, the first 10-ish years of his career, I watched all those. If the the Jay and Silent Bob had gotten a wider release and come out at a different time, I probably would have ranked them then. But with rankings, I'm always looking for when is the splash? Like, when is the wave happen that I can get a hold of? Because if I just drop the ranking right now, no one's thinking about Kevin Smith. If he has a movie that opens and people actually go out and watch it, like it actually comes out at a point in time where people are thinking about it, that's when I want to drop it, because that's when the conversation is happening. You drop it at this other time, it just kind of disappears and nobody watches the video. And then people are like, hey, you should rank this. And it's like, I already did. But nobody saw it because it happened to drop at this one weird time. Sumit Nirankari. Have you ever joined the speech and debate team? When I was in high school, I was on the debate team for a little bit. It didn't go well for me. I got really into it my junior year, joined the team to do all the debates and everything, like go and tour. And then my mom was in a car accident and she was in the hospital for 3 months straight. So right as I joined this thing where I need to literally spend weekends prepping and going off to these things, I was spending all my time at the hospital. And so then I tried to join. I had a debate partner and everything. His name was Salil Deshpande, and so it's pretty frustrating because he was attached to me and he got screwed over because we're partners and I just can't do anything. Like I couldn't do what I needed to do to be good at it or to actually go. So he had to go off and do his own thing. But so yeah, I was on the speech and debate team. Nasa and Orich, what are your thoughts on Indiana Jones? You've watched, pretty sure you've watched some of my recent videos that are about my favorite movies, so you are aware it's one of my favorite characters and franchises. Andrew Willits, do you think Adam Sandler deserved an Oscar nom for Uncut Gems? I would have given him one. I probably would have. I would have taken Leo out and put him in there, or I would have put in Eddie Murphy. Leo's kind of a boring pick, so there are a couple of people I would have put in there. Tom Ohawk, do you feel that Palpatine's return in Rise of Skywalker ruins Anakin's legacy and sacrifice? No. I talked about this in my spoiler review. I've talked about this many times. No, not at all. The fact that Anakin didn't defeat Palpatine forever and in all contexts doesn't change the fact that he took him out for 30 years. He took down a whole government. The empire crumbled. The empire went away. That's not nothing. You can't it came back, so I guess it didn't mean anything. What do you mean? The empire was gone. It was messy, and there's still things to work out, but the empire was gone. And the emperor was sidelined for 35 years and had to had this very long comeback tour. So I don't really understand people that think that it. I don't really understand the argument. There's reasons why he shouldn't have come back, but to say that it totally nullified what Anakin did. No, it didn't. There's all kinds of things that people do and happen that don't forever defeat evil. So. What's up, Joseph? What do you think of the Pirates of the Caribbean? I've got a ranking of the movies. It's one of my actually early ones from when I first started doing them as a weekly thing, and it became what I was known for. It started with almost that one. The first one is great, and the rest are pretty meh. They're all different degrees and different versions of meh after the first one. Zane TV, what software do you use to edit videos? I use the Adobe Suite for all my stuff. Thumbnails, everything. Joe Allen, do you like the CW TV show Batwoman? Nope. I think I watched the first 8 episodes and I just kept trying to give it a chance, and I don't know. It just kept it wanted to make all the wrong things the focus, and there's this weird thing with her sister throughout the whole show, and it never locks in on anything that is what you tune in. You tune into a Bat show, Batwoman or Batman, because you want to see that as the focus, and it's not the focus of the show, and it's just so frustrating. Movie Magic, Just Mercy was snubbed of Best Picture, Best Actor. Agree. I don't know about snubbed, but I wouldn't. I would have enjoyed seeing a nomination for it. Some nominations. I don't know if it's necessarily a snub, but because it's not like I look at the ones that were nominated and go, these are ridiculous. How'd these get in here? I would have liked to see Just Mercy there. I would have liked to see Dolomite as well. Gamer Girl, is Greg Berlanti helming too many shows? Yeah, I mean, I think you can just see it pretty quickly that the more he does, the quality drops. And maybe this one over here is still doing okay, and this one's doing okay, but you just see the quality dropping the more that he takes on. Dorito Chip Gamer, what are your thoughts on horror remakes? I mean, it depends on if they have something to do. I mean, a lot of them haven't been very good. Some of them have been pretty good. So, I mean, there's not a single answer. Some of them good, some of them aren't. Man of Movies, thank you for your hard work. You inspired me to make my own film reviews. Man of Movies, again, thank you for your inspiration. Oh, I just love to hear that. It's cool to me anytime someone tells me they started a channel because I inspired them, because I think of all the people that inspired me, that I watch their stuff, and that I can be that for someone else is pretty cool for me. G Var, how often do you update your pictures of yourself for thumbnails? So I don't have like at least twice a week I take new pictures for my thumbnails. But I put out videos every single day, and it just gets kind of tedious to like cut the green screen, because I have a little green screen, and I have my little lights that are hung to the ceiling, so I turn them around, turn my lights around, put a green screen right there, and then I shoot my thumbnails with the green screen. I have to cut the background out, and so I do that a couple times per week. Kind of depends on if there's something interesting, if it's a video that I think people are going to watch, like a movie review that's just kind of a throwaway, that's, The Grudge. It's not going to... This isn't a review that's going to make a big dent, so I'm not terribly worried about having a fresh thumbnail for it. Other ones, it's like, I have a really good idea for this. That'll be fun. And so I do two or three a week new that I add into the list. LKB TV, where's the podcast? It's over on my Patreon page. I've been posting about it on my community tab, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. So if you want updates on like what's going on, the timelines for when things are happening, just follow me over on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, and just read my community tab stuff. Like it's coming in a couple of weeks. I've been doing test episodes. They're on my Patreon page, and but like you just follow me on those other places, and it'll let you know what's happening. Brendan, Dunkirk or 1917? It's a weird debate. It doesn't make any sense. They're two different wars, very different styles of film where they're doing non-typical timing things for their films. So I don't buy into the discussion of this one or that one at all. I don't have any interest in like, do you like this one or this one? Lloyd, Pacifium, thoughts on the Dollars trilogy? Those are some of my favorite westerns. Those Clint Eastwood spaghetti westerns with Sergio Leone. The Fistful of the Dollars is like the one that got me into westerns and Clint Eastwood. So that's where a lot of that kind of came from. Tommy Movies, hey Sean, what rating do you prefer, PG-13 or rated R? It all depends on the movie. Iron Man doesn't get better if you give it an R rating. And then other movies, I think you get hurt when you take out the adult themes. So it's not one or the other. I'm a grown-up, so I tend to like a lot of rated R movies, and I wish right now, studios are trying to make movies to the broadest audience, and they perceive that that's PG-13 because they can make it in a category to where people still bring kids under 13, and adults don't think it's for kids because it's PG-13. If you make it PG, adults don't show up because they think it's a kid's movie, it's rated R, then kids can't show up, so they make everything PG-13. And I think that's a bad thing for the industry, for individuals, and so I don't like that about all this. So, but anyway, I gotta go close out. Some of the questions you guys are asking, I've already answered some of them. So if you're asking like about franchises, like what's my favorite Rocky movie, I've got a ranking of that, so you can check that out there. Most franchises I do. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I greatly appreciate it. And I'll be back probably Saturday with another one of these at 1 o'clock. 1 o'clock Central Time. I probably have another one of these. And every Saturday at 2, I do a small one on Patreon. There's normally about 10, 20 of us, so I can answer everybody's questions. I can have back and forth. It's not like me trying to read through 1,000 questions, and like I can actually interact with everybody. So those are pretty cool if you're interested in something like that. Joining over on Patreon at any level, you get that. Right now on Patreon, like I have 3 podcasts that I recorded that are over there, bunch of exclusive reviews, and then these weekly Q&As. So there's a bunch of exclusive stuff this month, but be back for another one of these, I believe, Saturday.